You're standing on Fifth Avenue right now. Millions of people, taxis, skyscrapers, noise, and about 50 feet below your shoes, there are bones. Not human bones, something else. Something that was hunting in an ocean that covered this exact spot 85 million years ago. New York City is built on a graveyard, and almost nobody knows it. Here's what actually happened. North America used to be cut in half, not cracked, not damaged, literally split down the middle by a shallow inland sea called the Western Interior Seaway. It stretched from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up through what is now Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakotas, and it connected to the Arctic Ocean in the north. The entire center of the continent was underwater, and that sea was full of things that had no business being that big. The one we need to talk about is called Tylosaurus, and 50 feet is actually underselling it. Some specimens hit 45 to 46 feet, the length of a city bus and a half. It wasn't a dinosaur. It wasn't a shark. It was a mosasaur, basically a giant sea lizard, and it was the apex predator of that entire inland ocean. Here's the part that should bother you. The eastern coast of that seaway, the shoreline, ran right through what is now the mid-Atlantic states, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and the seabed, the actual ocean floor where Tylosaurus hunted and fed and died, that's sitting right underneath the Northeast Corridor, under Philadelphia, under Manhattan, under the Lincoln Tunnel. When construction crews were digging the foundations for Grand Central Terminal in 1903, they hit something unexpected: ancient marine sediment. Dark, compressed layers of seafloor material that had no business being 30 feet underground in the middle of New York City. They didn't know what they were looking at. They just dug through it and kept going. That's what's under the city: ancient seafloor. Now think about what lived on that seafloor. Tylosaurus didn't just swim. It hunted. We have fossil evidence of a Tylosaurus stomach with the remains of a shark, a smaller mosasaur, and a diving seabird all at the same time. It wasn't picky. It ate whatever it could fit in its mouth, and its mouth was about 5 feet long. The teeth weren't just in the jaw either. There were teeth on the roof of its mouth, pointing inward so that nothing could back out once it went in. And it could stay underwater for a long time. Unlike a fish, it breathed air, so it would have surfaced periodically, right where the Hudson River meets the Atlantic now, where ferries run today, where cargo ships dock. It would have come up for air, looked around with those massive eyes, and gone back down to hunt. The specific reason New York sits on top of this particular history is geology. When the Seaway receded, about 70 million years ago, as the continent slowly uplifted, it left behind a layer of marine sediment called the Atlantic Coastal Plain. That layer runs from Long Island, south through New Jersey, all the way to Florida. But in Manhattan itself, you hit bedrock, the Manhattan schist, almost immediately under the surface. And that schist is what makes the city's skyscraper clusters possible, Midtown and Downtown, where the bedrock is shallow enough to anchor foundations. But between those two clusters, the Midtown Valley around 34th Street, the bedrock dips down, goes deeper, and what fills that gap is sediment, old sediment, ocean sediment. In 1868, a construction worker digging in New Jersey, directly across the river from Manhattan, found something in a marl pit, a prehistoric deposit used for fertilizer. The bones were enormous, marine. They didn't understand what they had. A paleontologist named Edward Drinker Cope identified it: mosasaur remains, from the same formation, the same ancient seafloor that extends under the Hudson. No one has dug for fossils under New York. There's a city in the way, but the formation is continuous. The same rock layers that have produced mosasaur fossils in New Jersey and Delaware run unbroken beneath the streets. They're probably still down there. The thing about Tylosaurus is that it wasn't a monster in the way we imagine monsters. It wasn't random, wasn't chaotic. It was efficient. Fossil trackways, not from Tylosaurus but from the creatures it hunted, show panicked, erratic movement right before the predator arrived. The animals it chased knew it was coming before they could see it. It probably created pressure waves in the water. A 50-foot animal moving at speed through shallow water doesn't sneak up on you. You feel it first. That's the ocean that used to be here, not some abstract prehistoric world. This exact geography, this latitude, the same distance from the sun, the same seasons roughly, just covered in 600 feet of warm, shallow, oxygen-rich water, full of things that would have eaten you without a second thought. New York City is one of the densest concentrations of human activity on Earth, and it is sitting on the bones of a sea monster. The Seaway didn't disappear overnight. That's important to understand. It didn't drain like a bathtub. It retreated slowly over millions of years as the Rocky Mountains were pushed upward and the continent tilted. The water got shallower. The shoreline moved east, inch by inch, century by century. And as it retreated, everything that lived in it either adapted, migrated, or got left behind. Tylosaurus didn't make it, not because of an asteroid. That came later. It disappeared before the mass extinction, somewhere around 66 to 70 million years ago, as the Seaway shrank and the shallow, warm water it needed to hunt in got smaller and smaller. The habitat just stopped existing, and an animal that size can't pivot, can't adapt fast enough. It needed open water, warm temperatures, and prey in large numbers. When those things went away, it went with them. What replaced it was the Atlantic Ocean we know today. Colder, deeper, the shoreline hundreds of miles east of where it used to be. The same water, technically, different world entirely. And here's the thing about New York specifically. The city exists where it does because of ice, not water. About 20,000 years ago, which in geological terms is basically yesterday, a glacier sat on top of Manhattan, a sheet of ice over a mile thick, moving south, grinding everything underneath it. It's what carved the harbor. It's what deposited Long Island, the terminal moraine, the pile of rock and debris pushed ahead of the glacier like a bulldozer. That's what Long Island is. Literally a pile of rocks shoved there by ice. When the glacier retreated, it left behind a landscape that happened to be perfect for a port city. Deep, natural harbor, rivers on both sides, bedrock close to the surface in exactly the right places. The Dutch didn't pick Manhattan because they were clever. They picked it because 20,000 years of geological accidents had made it the most logical place on the entire eastern seaboard to build. But underneath all of that glacial work, underneath the harbor clay and the glacial till and the colonial landfill, the older story is still there. The seafloor is still there. The sediment that Tylosaurus swam above is still compressed into the ground, layers deep, waiting. There is a real possibility, not a metaphor, an actual scientific possibility that a mosasaur fossil exists somewhere under New York City. Complete or partial, it doesn't matter. The formation is there. The fossils have been found on either side of the Hudson. The only reason no one has looked is because you can't excavate Manhattan. There are 8 million people and 150 years of infrastructure sitting on top of it. But every few years, something breaks. A water main ruptures, and they dig. A subway line gets extended, and they bore deeper than usual. And occasionally, workers find things they can't explain. Bones, shells, strange compressed material that doesn't match what's supposed to be there. Most of it never gets studied. Most of it gets noted in a report and buried again under concrete. The city moves too fast to stop for its own history. That's the part that stays with you. Not that the monster existed, that's just geology, but that it's still down there, under one of the most examined, documented, photographed, mapped cities on Earth, and we genuinely don't know exactly what's in the ground beneath it. We've mapped Mars with better resolution than we've mapped what's 60 feet below Midtown. You walk on top of it every day. The sea monster, the sea floor, the ancient shoreline, all of it, still there, still intact, completely undisturbed, right under your feet.